Walt Disney was broke, fired from his job, and told no over 300 times before anything he was trying started to work. A whole bunch of people quit after their first rejection. Here's what he knew about rejection that most people will just never figure out. Think about that number. I'm not talking about 10, 50, or even 300. He woke up on rejection 150, went out there and still kept trying. After rejection 250, most people would have told themselves, I'm chasing the wrong thing. Called it some nice word like pivoting. Walt Disney called it Tuesday. I've had not only a lot of people tell me my construction company was gonna fail, but they encouraged it to fail. They tried to destroy me. Even people I trusted told me to get a real job. And there were those days with my credit card maxed out, my checking account almost zero, or even negative, when I thought maybe they're right. But Walt Disney didn't succeed because he was special. He succeeded because he understood what most people will never know, or even flat out refuse. But that's what this video's about today. The world teaches you to fail fast and then just pivot off to the next thing. Sometimes that can be good advice, but there is truly a difference between conviction and just failure habit. Failure habit is holding on to something and you just can't admit you're wrong. Conviction is holding on because you know that you're right, and you're willing to outlast everyone just to prove it, because they can't see the vision like you do. Walt Disney didn't cry when he went bankrupt, or when somebody stole his most successful character. He kept making the same bet on himself. The lesson today isn't about being stubborn. It's about having the faith in yourself to be able to be told no 302 times without losing the vision. Here are some parts of Disney's story that most people just glaze right over, and what they mean for your life right now. Truth number one, he got fired for not being creative enough. In the year 1919, Walt Disney was 17 years old, and he got fired from the Kansas City Star. And the reason for lack of imagination. The man who created Mickey Mouse and Snow White and Fantasia in a swamp in Florida that's now worth $25 billion was told he had no imagination. The editor wasn't lying. He truly believed it. Disney had no track record to be able to prove the editor wrong, but most people take the wrong lesson here. Follow your dreams. The haters are wrong. The real lesson here, the people that are evaluating you are working with incomplete information. It doesn't make them malicious. It just makes them limited. What matters most is if you let their limiting beliefs become your ceiling. I've been evaluated wrong. Early on in my business, contractors looked at me like, hey, what makes him think he's earned his seat at the table? And you know what? There was some truth to it. At that point in my life, I hadn't. But I had enough faith in myself. I knew where I was going. Now, today, I look back and I still think about that and how they had to eat crow. Here is where most people would have stopped. Truth number two, he went bankrupt. In 1923, Disney's Laugh-O-Gram studio collapsed. Empty bank accounts. He was 21 years old. He moved off to Hollywood with $40 and a suitcase and started over. By the 1920s, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit was a major hit. The distribution, the momentum, the fans, then the distributors came to him and says, "Nuh-uh, Oswald belongs to us." He signed the wrong contract and he lost the character in its entirety. He drove home and emotions that I can only imagine, and he drew a mouse. I can only imagine what kind of intensity and focus he must have had at that period of time and the emotions going through his body. This is the part that should hit you the most right now. The thing that you lost might actually give you the energy, the focus, the intention to build what you were really meant to build. Losing Oswald became the foundation of $130 billion. I once landed a big construction job, and then the customer found a reason that they shouldn't have to pay me. While I was carrying all the debt and owed all the subcontractors, I wondered if it was going to bankrupt me. But instead, it focused me to tighten every single contract. And with that system, my company came out on the other side of it stronger than anything I had built before. The losses will teach you things that the wins can never even get close to. The question is, are you still in the game with your ears open, willing to learn the lesson? If you ever had anything taken away from you unfairly, this part's especially for you. Truth number 3, he was rejected for Disneyland 302 times. Decades later, he pitched a theme park. Every single investor, every single banker said, no way, too expensive, people won't even show up. But Disney never watered down the vision. He changed who he pitched the ideas to. The 303rd time he pitched the idea, he finally got somebody to say yes. And I can only imagine what that went like. What? Did I just hear you say yes? I mean, how many times can you... He must have just been like on autopilot where he was just like, what? Yeah, I'm just... Here's why you should do it. Here's why you should do it. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. I can only imagine that he just didn't even hear them say yes. Disneyland opened in 1955, serving 306 million people in the first year in business, and now became one of the most expensive plots of real estate in the entire earth. What have you made smaller just because somebody said no? There's a word for holding a vision through that many rejections. Not confidence, belief, or character. Motivation fades after the 40th rejection. It definitely needs some kind of external wins to survive. Faith is something that nobody can take away from you except for yourself. It's the boring years that create the foundation for the big breakthrough. That's what the rejections followed by a yes actually looks like. Truth number 4. What he actually had. He wasn't the best animator. He hired the best ones. He definitely wasn't the best businessman. Deal after deal after deal went sideways. Bankruptcies, stolen characters, distributed problems, studio fires, wars even shutting down his market. What he had was simpler and harder than just skill. He refused to let all those external failures not decide his internal faith. Every rejection gave him evidence about how wrong he was. The evidence just kept stacking, but he kept building anyway, defying all the odds. That's not talent. Talent is inherited. This is a commitment, a decision made daily to hold that internal faith intact despite all the external noise. And it's available to you right now. And the question is whether you will. Maybe you got passed over for a promotion, and you're starting to believe that's who you really are. And it's not. Maybe your business is struggling, and everyone around you is being quite reasonable about why you should quit. And part of you is starting to agree with them. Maybe you pitched an idea to a bunch of friends and family, and they thought, he's delusional! And you're wondering inside if they're right. You will face your version of the 302 rejections. That's not the question. The real question is, what are you going to do when your stack of rejections hits close to home? Motivation isn't going to help. It needs wins. You need discipline and faith in something bigger than yourself. A reason that keeps you motivated to keep going further and further every day, even when people actively work against you. Most of us never get that somebody who's going to come and have your back and tell you you're on the right track. Keep going. You make the decision with incomplete information in the middle of the mess as a storm is all around you. But hold the vision. That's what Disney did. Through the decades, when everybody was telling him he was wrong and said no. Through the bankruptcies and through the delusion. But he kept building anyway. The boring years created the foundation for the major breakthrough. The question is, will you stick with it long enough to see the success? Have you shared it with somebody that this video can help? And have you subscribed so you can continue to see more information like this? Be bold when people are telling you you're wrong and you know you're right. Just because they tell you no, it doesn't mean it's a signal to stop. Disney wasn't lacking imagination. The editor had incomplete information. The editor was wrong. The major loss is often the big giant step to the next biggest best thing. He lost Oswald, but he still had all the experience and the knowledge and everything he had that he could pour it into something next, the next big thing, Mickey Mouse. Losing one good thing can help you build something bigger and better, something great. Conviction isn't stubbornness. Disney kept the vision and found the right room of people rather than shrinking the vision. Don't compress your goals to fit somebody else's imagination. If this really helps you, share it with somebody so it can help them as well. And they'll thank you for it. Subscribe if you're building something too.